Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first episode of 2021's Lounging with Leash. We're back in the proverbial saddle, if you will. And we have the world's first, the world's best ever podcast guest on with us today, Miss Allie.
Thanks for having me.
Yay! I know, I feel like I introduced you like a kindergarten teacher, Miss Allie. So I put it on my Instagram story earlier, but I'm like, how have I never thought to have guests before? And then, of course, Allie popped in my mind, one of my best friends on the planet. And I was like, would you want to do this? And she's like, duh. I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
I guess I hadn't thought about it either, but I'm quite honored to be the first guest of Lounging with Leash.
Thank you so much. I know it's like, so like, if you haven't listened to Lounging with Leash before, I started this whole podcast as like literally a reason to get out of bed because quarantine was like so monotonous. And I'm like, how am I gonna just like get excited? And like, quite honestly, to like actually do my hair, sometimes, not always, but you know, like a reason to get dressed. And so that like went for a while and I was pretty good about it. And then I was like, we'll see how long this goes. And then it kind of fell off. And then I was like, oh, I feel like I was listening to, it was probably Jared Fried's podcast, let's be real, because that's one of my favorite, but it was like, they were talking about something and I was like, oh, I would really want like Allie and I to talk about like this on a podcast where it's like you and I riff, because I love listening to people who like, you know, are just themselves and it's not like super produced like NPR podcasts, which there's a place for that, but you know.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah. So just real life, man. And like, this could be because like where I am in my life right now, but I like listening to people who feel like they could be my friends. And I'm like, oh, yay, I'm not alone.
I will admit, because you know, I know you have your podcast you're obsessed with, and you know, I have a few of mine as well. And I was making a list of things that I want to do before I die. And hosting a dinner party with some of the podcasters I'm obsessed with is on the list.
Oh my God. Okay, wait. So who are you obsessed with? I mean, I think I know, but maybe I don't know all of them.
Well, I mean, Armchair Expert with Dax Shepard is my go-to. So I'd want to have Dax and then his co-host Monica. And I'd probably want to have Kristen Bell because when she is there, there's like a whole dynamic and I love them. And so I want to have them at a dinner party and some of their friends, because I don't know if you ever listened to Monica and Jess Love Boys, which was like an offshoot podcast.
I think you did. I think I listened to a couple. Yeah, you did send me that.
So Jess could come, and now they're doing a podcast where they talk with this New Zealand reporter where they talk about conspiracy theories. And so he could come and we could just have like a armchair extravaganza.
Podcast dinner. That's a great idea. And like, was it Colorado you went to go see them or something like that?
Yeah, live show in Colorado. And we saw them in San Francisco.
Dude, that is the dream. Like, let's manifest that, because not only do I want to have dinner with those fools, I want to have live shows. Like, come on. Like, yeah. Scrubbing in, I did a podcast about those girls earlier last year. And then Jared, like a lot of these podcasters turn it into like this live event thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, freaking so smart.
I guess Jared does like his stand-up. Does he also just do question and answer type situation?
Good point. He does stand-up, but then he's also on another podcast called You Up. Mm-hmm. And that's him and Jordana did a live show tour kind of thing. And it was similar, but it was like at bars and they would do dating app makeovers and like answer questions. Yeah, it was really cool. So I'm like, I feel like there's this like weird new, I don't even know if you would call it an industry, but kind of, you know, like Kat and Nat, those like crazy moms, they did that. Caitlin Bristow, the former Bachelorette, she did that. Like, yeah, it's just so cool.
I know. It could totally be a thing. I mean, that could be your job.
Let's manifest it. All right. So Today, though, I kind of teased that we would be talking about motivation, and we were joking that like we're gonna do a whole podcast on inspiration and motivation from two people who like don't actually have it nearly as much as we want it. And are about to like at the time I was about to make hash browns and I was laying on my bed, so it really wasn't like I was super motivated at the time.
But we want it, and I feel like we're always open to trying different things.
That's right. I'm like, the fact that I'm eating is like a win today. Like, sometimes you just gotta cross off the small things.
It's totally the wins. Yeah.
But that day we were talking about that, I found a podcast. Okay, so here's where you guys, if you guys want to write this down, you can. So Laura Belgray is her name, and she started a company called TalkingShrimp, and her Instagram is TalkingShrimp NYC. And I guess someone already had stolen just regular Talking Shrimp, so she added the NYC. But anyway, so she was a copywriter for years and years and became really well known for writing for like the Marie Forleo lady, or like, all these big brands and big names. And she got to a point where she's like, I kind of would rather be known for me as opposed to like, oh, she writes for Cosmo or whatever. I don't remember all of the places, but and so she was on this podcast because I've been following her. I have to give credit where credit is due. So my cousin Christine is the one who introduced me to her, and she's a copywriter. So it was kind of like from the marketing angle I followed her, but she's just really clever, and her Instagram is really interesting. It's like whenever you see her stuff, it's not like just the normal, like you scroll by and you don't even know what it was. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It like makes you stop and be like, what is this? Like, first of all, it's a shrimp. So like, it doesn't make any sense, which I love.
Yeah. Well, you told me about her the other day. So I added her on Instagram, and she's already had some really good posts. And now that I understand the marketing side of things, everything is like very pretty, which I love.
Yeah.
So yeah, I could see it. I haven't listened to the podcast yet though. I'll have to try it.
Yeah. So she was on this girl, I don't even know. Apparently it's a popular podcast. Jasmine Star's a podcast. And she had her like share all these things. And she came like super prepared and all this stuff. And I was really impressed. And like, she has like these tips and tricks and lead magnets and all this normal marketing stuff. But then what I really loved, this was like mind blowing to me. And it's like, you probably heard like this quote that's like, don't let great be or perfect be the enemy of great, or something like that, where it's basically like, don't be a perfectionist, like get shit done or something like that.
Progress over perfection.
Yeah. All those things.
Yeah.
Like, like, yeah, it's true. Like sometimes you can like labor and just like never do it, So she gave a real life example, which I freaking love. She's like, because her thing, one of her V's, she has 3 V's, was like velocity, right? And that meant speed to get the thing done. And she gave this example of this, it was some guide to something where she's like, normally I would have, really perfected it, put it in a PDF, put it on my website with like a gated content thing and made people download it and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, nope, this time I just shared like a really foul and ugly Google Doc and literally sent a Google Doc link. And I was like, get out of town. Like, you can do that. Like, and she's like, it's kind of cool because now, how Google Docs work. It's like, you can see all the people who are like in it at the same time. And like,
yeah.
And it just got me thinking, like someone who is like well-respected, has a huge following, as like, whatever, I'm going to send out a Google Doc, I'll worry about making it pretty later. I was like, what the fuck?
Love it. She's just getting her shit out there.
Yeah. So like it inspired me to, so I didn't have a website for this podcast. And at one point I was like, I should make a website. And then, you start down the path and you're like, oh, but I got to buy the domain and I got to make it like no ads and I want it to be perfect. And so today I was like, you know what, whatever, I'm going to have ads. I don't care. So I already had the leash.com and I just like published, like I worked on it for maybe 30 minutes and I was like, this is as good as it's going to get for now because it's better than nothing, right?
Yes. What? I'm gonna have to look at it. I love that you already
Literally
have the
published
domain.
it like 30 minutes ago.
Of course you did. At first, I was gonna say I've never thought about creating a website. I guess I've had to for work and things like that, but I love that these are the things you think about.
Well, yeah, and that was part of her thing. So like trying to it was interesting how she framed it, like being everywhere. And she even put on her website, it's like building authority. And like, so when someone comes and finds you and they see, oh my God, this girl has a podcast and she has a website and she has this and she has that, you just automatically assume they know what they're talking about. Like, I'm gonna do that.
That's so true.
Right? Well, and so you're like, I didn't really introduce you, and you can do whatever bio you want, but like you're in real estate, right? And so you've had to switch up like how you have used your Instagram, or at least that's what I've noticed, and your Facebook and stuff like that. So like, you know.
Yes, but I'm not necessarily in real estate and good at the marketing aspect of it. There's so much that's changing all the time. And actually, there's some people I should send you to follow just because I think you would find them humorous. And I feel like they're killing it on like the video and all the content and all that stuff. So, but I have switched up and I do want to try to engage a little bit more with the social media. But it's, it makes people see, because they say now, especially, like our generation, when they're going out looking for houses, they look up their agents on social media before they even speak to them. So
It's not a lie. That is
yeah.
not a lie. Yeah, it's kind of weird to think about. Or like, even like, especially with COVID, and I've complained about this before, probably not on this podcast, but like, when you're like thinking about going to a restaurant or you want to order from a place and you're like, but I don't know if they're open or like what their deal is or like what the menu and the hours, like I pretty much only go to Instagram because I'm like, that's going to be the most recently updated stuff. But how wild is that now that's the place we go?
Seriously. It's crazy.
Or like my mom, I mean, she would probably still get out the white pages, but for me anyways,
I do feel like, well, I didn't even have Facebook until at some point during 2020 when my boss was like, you have to have this.
Like, really?
And I feel like you can really tell it's kind of sad when it's like a business page that just has like the very bare bones information. I'm like, this isn't even useful. Don't have it.
Hey, we all starting somewhere, right? It's better than not having it.
It is, and because at least you can find them and verify that it's happening. So
yeah, it doesn't say like Allie, like murderer. It's just like somewhat legit. Okay, so something else she said that I was like really like, it gave me chills. Okay, so how did she write it? I wrote it down because I'm a nerd. Okay, so she said, take the leap in assuming that you're someone's favorite person. And she was talking about like people who are building personal brands, but like they had this whole discussion about like how everything could be a personal brand at one point or another. And hopefully you're not or you're just thinking really hard. Okay, you were frozen. I was like, oh no. Okay, good. I was like, wow, she's thinking really hard for a very long time. So
well, you were giving verbally.
Okay. So she said, assume that you're the person's favorite. Wait, what? Sorry. I think there's a delay now. Say something.
I'm good.
Oh, okay.
Is there a delay still? Okay.
Perfect. No, I was just like talking over you for fun. No, but I thought that was pretty wild. So she's like, think of your like one of the favorite people you follow or, like to get information from. And imagine if like they never shared and they never like let you into your life, or into their life. You'd be like mad because you love them so much. I'm like,
Very good point.
Like, I'm pretty sure, I can't remember if you were the one who showed me Heather McMahon, but I'm like, if she stopped sharing, I'd be pissed.
I don't know. I do feel like there's a few people who, and we talked about this before, where I like save them up because I want to watch it when I can actually pay attention.
Well, yeah, and
So,
when like, you're like, I'm gonna want to put like full attention, like not on mute, like just soak it in kind of a thing.
yeah. Yeah.
Do you have other people like that besides Heather? I know she's a good one.
So I've followed this girl named, well, her handle is PaleoMG. She's like a fitness person. She used to be like super strictly paleo, but like, things have changed. She does fashion. She does kind of like all the usual stuff, but she's fucking hilarious and I want to be her friend. I feel like we would get along with her very well. And you will, she has a Frenchie named Jackson. So, commonality of all the love of Frenchies.
Frenchie gang.
Yeah, yeah. So I love her. I love Heather. I'm trying to
Wait,
think.
what was it? Paleo MG, like the letter M?
Yeah, so like paleo, but then it's like OMG. So it's
Oh,
paleo MG.
cute.
She's very funny.
I feel like you have like the corner, I don't know how to describe it, but like you're so in tune with like healthy eating and lifestyle stuff that I'm like, if I wanted to actually be better about it, I would go to you.
Well, thank you.
Oh yeah, of course. And like I got an Instapot for Christmas. I'm like, Allie, what should I make? Like, I feel like you have that on lockdown, not lockdown, on lock.
I cook all of my meals in it. I can't say enough good things about the Instant Pot. Like because I held out for a long time too, and I was like, oh, all these people have this thing. Like, why do you need it? You can just whip up anything. Yep.
Okay, so what are your favorite ones, and like, how long are we talking? Because like I've only done like one or two, and I still feel like I don't know what I'm doing. But
how long do the recipes take, or how long do
yeah.
you get? So the thing is, it does take a little bit longer to pressurize. So you have to always have that in your sort of mind, because like, so sweet potatoes, for example, I don't know if you've ever roasted a sweet potato in the oven, but it takes for fucking ever.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, as you know, I'm impatient. And so like part of it will still be like a little hard and crunchy, and it's not good. So you pop those babies in the Instant Pot, put a little water, and you look up however long you have to cook it for. I usually just do a quick Google, but it will take like 10 minutes to pressurize, and then whatever the cook time is. But perfection, just perfect.
Wait, do you put them in whole?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Like you poke a few little holes in them, kind of like if you were doing it. Did you ever make baked potatoes in the microwave? My parents used to do that all the time.
No, but I do like poking them. It's kind of satisfying.
Yeah, so poke them a little bit, put them in there, put a little water, because you don't want it to like, it needs the steam, and you don't want it to be like super dry. And then I feel like you just put it on manual mode for, I want to say like 13-ish minutes or something like that, which would normally take 45 minutes to an hour in the oven. But I really like cooking rice in it. It's basically kind of like a rice cooker. It seems just to go so fast. I love to make soups and stews. The chicken fajita recipe that I sent you is one of my faves. I cook chicken in it all the time now, because I used to hate cooking chicken because it's gross. And so you just can turn it on saute, put like some olive oil and stuff in there, then cook up your chicken, throw some seasonings on it, and it just is, chicken is done in 8 minutes.
Dude, okay, that is something I did not know, and I feel like I don't know why Instant Pot didn't like do a better job at this, but the fact that it has a saute, I was like, whoa, what the hell? I didn't know.
I know. I use it all the time. It's a fabulous function, because too, when you're making like, I don't know, when you make spaghetti, if you're making like a bolognese or meat sauce, I can saute and like cook up all the meat and the onions and garlic in it, and then put the sauce in there too and do the whole shebang.
Ooh, that's a good idea. Yeah, so that blew my mind because I was like, oh, that's cool because then you don't have to get like 8 pots dirty. You can just use like the one.
I know. It's amazing.
I have an idea. I should pitch it to Instant Pot. Like they need to have an Instagram that's like in the voice of an Instant Pot that's like, look at me go, I can saute. That would really speak to me.
I love that. I love that. I don't know which one you got. We just ended up getting a new one recently due to some things. But there's a button on it that says porridge, and I want to know, 1, who uses it, and 2, what is porridge?
Like Goldilocks, probably.
I know. No. I tried to make oatmeal with the porridge button and it went poorly. But you know, what are you gonna do?
I don't know. All I know is that I'm on the hunt for the manual because mine, for whatever reason, did not come with the little booklet. And so, yeah. So I'm extra in the dark about what the porridge button means. But
I might be able to hook you up with that. I might be able to have a helping hand with the booklet.
Oh my God, that's awesome. Okay, cool. So Instant Pot is really good stuff. And what was the other? Okay, so Paleo OMG. And then that made me think of, okay, so this is really dumb but kind of funny, and it's not dumb, but I like it. So I have like started doing or been doing basically since quarantine, like what I'm calling like bits, because I'm a comedian clearly, on my Instagram. It's personal, so only for the select few, where I'll like, it used to be like I was reporting from the duck pond about, you know, the hatchlings and whatnot. And then from time to time, I would have like a skit between my dog and I, and about how she really needs to get a job because she's just such a loaf. And now it's like I'm hopefully going to be promoted to the Neighborhood Watch program because that's really fun. But so then the other day I had the idea, this is along with the Instant Pot thing. I'm like, I post a lot about my dog Roxy, as you know. And I'm like, okay, everyone has an Instagram for their dog. Okay, nothing special here. And then I was like, whoa, what if I make an Instagram in Roxy's voice, like from her point of view?
Oh, yes. Could you get her like a little camera or something that could be on her and like she could bebop around?
Oh my God, that's a really cute idea.
Because I love this. And then you like voiceover on it. And
yeah. Okay. So yeah, this is great. I love that because so I did start it. It's at Roxy Pup Life. And the funny thing is, it's because of freaking Laura Belgrade, because she's like, you know, you don't need to wait till perfection. Just do it. So I was like, I had an old Instagram handle that I had and I hadn't really used it. So I just changed it to Roxy Pup Life. Like deleted the 10 posts that sucked and just left whatever. Perfect. So, but now when I think about, because I'm always thinking like, not always, but sometimes I'll be like, oh, I want to post about Roxy, but like my feed is all Roxy, right? So I can just put some of that content over on her page.
Yes. I love this. I love especially her narrative because it would be like her viewpoint, but yet she can't see. So you're going to do her internal process of what's happening.
Yeah, the way I introduced it was like, Mom, I finally got a job. I started my own Instagram. You're going to be so proud of me. Like, I haven't posted yet today. I think I did it. Yeah, was it yesterday or the day before? I don't know. But she has a lot to say, so
I'm sure, and I can't wait to hear it all.
And wouldn't that be so funny if like my joke of her getting a job actually winds up getting like she's like doing pup sponsorships and shit?
Manifest it. Isn't that what we were saying? I will have a dinner party with the armchair expert and Roxy's going to get a job.
I think those are 2 great goals for the new year. Well, what's funny is I think where this all, well, not all, but part of where this came from was my my post at the end of last year was like recapping my New Year's, and I had said something like, next year I'm just going to throw a party where we pretend like we're getting ready to go somewhere and then never go anywhere. Well, that happened, and I'm like, what else can I manifest? So in my post this year, I was joking. I was literally joking, like, maybe this year Roxy will get a job and I'll be promoted to neighborhood watch president. And then what was my last one? I don't know, something else. And then I was thinking about it, I'm like, what if like this actually has power in like the manifestation?
I feel like it's out there now. So you've already put it out there.
Yeah, and I wouldn't feel it. Part of me didn't want to. I always felt really weird about trying to profit off my dog. Like I never wanted to do that because it's weird. But if it's literally her idea, I mean, I can't stop her. You know?
Very true. Very true.
Can't get in her way. And she decided she wants to get a job, so.
Yeah. Do we need to talk more about this neighborhood watch and
yeah.
What's the process to be the queen of it?
You know what? I should probably look into that because I don't really know. It started out like most things as a joke that I was like gonna watch the neighborhood. Cause so I found out that one of my old coworkers lives down the street from me. And I was joking to her, like, we should start a neighborhood watch. And it was literally like off the cuff, didn't really mean anything. But then as I'm sitting here staring out the windows and looking at people and creeping like I always do, I was like, it kind of like came into being that that's what I was doing. And then I went on a walk and I saw like this old man going into his house, and he had one of those old school like signs in the window that's like neighborhood watch. And I was like,
oh yeah,
number one, I need one of those. And number two, is this still a thriving organization? I don't even know.
Well, don't you have a ring, or don't you have some sort of, do you have a Ring doorbell?
I have an alarm system.
Okay. Does it have a camera on it?
No, but I will soon.
Good. Yes. Okay. So if you get a Ring doorbell, it has the camera on it and it like pops up on your phone. Well, as you know, our front door is like far back from the street. It doesn't face the street. So we got a light for the front of the house that has the Ring camera on it. So when people walk up, it alerts you. Ooh. But it kind of reminds me of like the, I don't know what it's called, Nextdoor. Kind of reminds me of Nextdoor because you like put your neighborhood and then people will like post videos of like people breaking into cars or this or that. And then they like just put them on blast on the Ring app. So I definitely think neighborhood watch is still in full effect. It just has a digital component now that is making them even more efficient. So
damn, this is good news.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to look into that for my neighborhood. The other thing I decided I wanted to do was, okay, so we're going back in time and I want like 4th of July to be like block party. I want like our whole street to just like shut down. And it's like, we're having a parade, we're doing it all like that's, and I want to start like the club or the commission or whatever it is to like really have my street be thriving, you know?
I love that.
And maybe it already exists. And they're like, the new girl's trying to take over, but I don't know.
I feel like you'll know relatively quickly. And yeah, if it doesn't exist, you'll implement immediately.
They're gonna be like, this girl has too much time on her hands. Like, so who's in charge of the parade?
I know.
But like, how cool would that be if like, I didn't ever think of this. Like, what if you could make your street like whatever you wanted it to
be? I feel like you can.
It's so crazy. Like, okay, this is the cutest thing. On Christmas, I got a little package on my doorstep that was like from one of my neighbors. It's homemade like candied pecans. And they had out front of their house this little like nightstand thing that's like free candied pecans, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, this is the cutest thing ever.
It's very cute. I love that. I
I
feel
feel
like this
like,
is neighborhood life. We have some neighbors that have hosted social distant music playing, and a bunch of the neighbors go out and play music and sing, and it's
okay, I
very
like
cute.
that a lot. And you guys have, I mean, you already have a daily dog parade, so you're already
We
there.
have a it's very true. Twice a day dog parade.
And the backstory on that is like I was visiting Allie and like I felt like every 5 minutes there's just like some happy couple or like somebody walking their dog. I'm like, what is with the dog parade going on?
I do think almost every house on our street has a dog, if not more than one dog. And they're all out and about and they play. Remy goes on play dates up and down the street.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
It is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
It is kind of funny. Like I give my mom shit for like she'll talk about the neighbors like, oh, so and so did this and they're playing basketball and like she knows everything in their lives and I'm like, oh my god, like you have nothing better to do and then I am her. It's so bad.
Oh, yeah. But it's also kind of comforting, isn't it? Now that you have
Oh, yeah.
neighbors and you know them.
Yeah, and I don't have to like make up stories anymore. I mean, I do, but I never thought like this is like an unexpected like perk. And then my other unexpected exciting thing is the garage. I'm like obsessed with my garage. I don't even know why or how this happened.
What, like, tell me more about that. I don't know where to start. Do you like being in it? Do you like how it looks? Do you like its function? Like,
Being in it, really like that. The function is really great. The looks part is like, eh. But I think it's just something about like, I told my dad this. So, like, growing up, we had a garage, of course, and he had this big, like, pegboard up on the wall with like all of the crap, you know? And I mean, tools and supplies and stuff, but also crap. And like in my head, you know this story, I think, where it's like one of my like, what is the word for our three
core values.
Core
this
values?
is
Yeah,
exactly what you didn't even have to tell me. Like as soon as you said pegboard, this is what I thought of.
you have such a good memory. So like, I decided that one of my core values was resourcefulness because of this whole fact that if we ever need to fix anything or like something was broken in the house, my dad would go out to that damn pegboard that's full of crap and be like, well, here's the thing that like, and it was never like the right thing, but it kind of worked if you jimmied it with another thing and like, you know, and we could fix it or build it or whatever. And so now I have my very own pegboard and I'm like obsessed with like putting stuff on it and like a workbench and I'm like organizing it and like putting my nails in the little things and like I just want it to be like I have all the supplies.
That's very exciting.
It's so weird.
My grandpa had a pegboard and he had even like outlined the spots where some things went, but I feel like that might be
next
too
level.
Like you might be adding to your pegboard, you may want to eventually reorganize it and then you're stuck. So I don't know.
That's a very like, yeah, official. I actually learned that at my first job where in manufacturing, like they would do that so that like they could be more efficient because everything had its home.
Oh.
And like if it wasn't there, they'd be like, well, where is it? Blah, blah, blah. But it had like everything had its home.
I do. So something that is, I love that. And I think that as I have, and you know, this journey, as I have like cleared out and become more of a minimalist, but not like a true minimalist, just less things. Cause I grew up in a household of a lot of things.
Yeah.
Actually, when things have a place to go, I also put them away. Like I think when there's too much stuff or you don't actually have a home for things, then of course you're going to leave them out and about. So.
Totally. Oh my God, that reminds me. Okay, this is really funny. So Nick Viall from The Bachelor, I love him, but he's like very different. And he has hired this lady, Cindy, who's like this cute older gal, maybe like 60. And he's like her personal assistant, I think. But he like started sharing her on his Instagram, which is genius because she's so cute. And so, but it's like a little bit like mean because he like puts her on the spot and he's like, Cindy, what do you think? Like, what, blah, blah. And he'll be like, so what is your tip? And what, so she'll give tips from time to time. And I'm like, I'm obsessed with this Cindy tips thing. And so she said that like, everything needs a home. And she's like, if it has a home, you'll put it back. Like that exact same thing. I swear to God.
I love it. God, maybe I should do Allie tips.
Because people like me who are like not super organized or like structured, I love hearing stuff like that because then I'm like, I would have never thought of that on my own. Yeah, I appreciate your guys' minds because I'm like, yeah, I need this. Like, or like, I think it was my girlfriend Jasmine who was like, oh yeah, like on Sundays I go through and like think about like what I'm gonna eat during the week and like when I'm gonna go grocery shopping. And I'm like, you do what?
you gotta do your meal plan for the week.
If I think through it for a day, I'm like really proud of myself.
I do feel like we've talked about this with your trips to the grocery store, but you also like really enjoy that.
I do.
So,
yeah, it's true. But you would be proud of me. I actually printed out, I didn't do anything with it yet, but I printed out like a meal planning thing. Yeah, because I probably said this on some podcast at some point where like, okay, so you inspired me so much this one time. So when we went to Tahoe and you were driving and at some point you're like, oh, I think I'm going to want snacks later. And then you like went to the grocery store and like got them in advance and was like, you can do that. I was like, whoa. So like, this is like still cooking my noodle, but like, I think the idea, so I have these like thoughts where I'm like, so there's this place that does really good takeout here. And it's on Tuesdays, they'll do like pizza salad and a bottle of wine for $38 and it's like delicious. But there's no way I'm ever going to remember that or think of it in time and like be able to make that happen unless I just happen to like stumble upon. That's why I love Instagram because it reminds me of these things. But like I would never be able to do that on my own. So that's the reason I printed out the thing. I'm like, well, what if I planned like the days that I like want to get food out? Because then I could look forward to it. And then I would make sure it happened as opposed to just like, oh shit, that would have been cool to order. You know?
No, that's awesome. I was going to say, I feel like normally I do plan the night that we get takeout. And now one thing I love about all of the app ordering is you can order it so far in advance and it'll just be ready at the time, because I will wait too long and then I will want it immediately. Or it's like, oh, right now it's taking 45 minutes or whatever. And you can just have that shit scheduled.
I do, like when I manage to like put that much forethought in it, I'm so proud of myself. I'm like, look at me.
God, the Instant Pot is also going to change your life with this, because say you want to have, I don't know, pasta for 3 nights, but you're going to change your protein. You can just cook all the pasta in the Instant Pot and have it in your little meal. You know, pasta not necessarily great leftover, but you get my drift. Is you can cook, but that's what I do. I do a bunch of stuff in the Instant Pot on Sunday, and my week is much easier.
So do you actually end up eating it all? Because I think I have a problem with like, I'll make a bunch and then the next day be like, yeah.
I mean, I feel like that's a separate topic.
Yes, this is true.
Normally most of it does get eaten, but I'm good with leftovers, and I'm good with the same thing multiple times if it's delicious. If it is not, then I'm less intrigued.
Okay, before we wrap this up, I have a question for you. So I've noticed something recently about myself that is like I'm still percolating like what it all is, but in the sense that working from home, right? And I'm like constantly on the computer and like I don't feel like I've really like not that I haven't accomplished anything, but I'm like a physical person. Like I never imagined working at a desk. So like I've noticed that when I do make like a meal afterwards and it's kind of like time consuming and I can see like the end product, I feel like more like I accomplished something, but also like unwind time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So part of me is like, how, like, have you, I'm totally putting it on the spot, but like, are there other ways to do that? Because part of why I like to cook so much is because it has that thing. But then if I have like 3 nights of Instant Pot, I look at it and I'm like, no, I want to do something in the kitchen. Like I want to do a thing, but maybe there's something else I could put in place of that.
No, I can relate to that though, because I love to cook. So I do
Yeah.
feel like, and I don't want to just like heat things up in the microwave
Right.
or something like that. So a lot of times it'll be like I'll still have to cook a component to go with it,
Ooh, I love that.
or like, oh, I'm gonna make garlic bread to go with it and I'm gonna heat everything up on the stove, or a lot of it is more for my lunches, breakfasts and lunches in the Instant Pot that
Mm.
makes it so easy because I do like to cook dinner and have that unwind time.
God,
And
you would have
I
had
think
that figured out.
there are other ways to do it, but I do think that is, I don't know, it's very therapeutic. Plus, you can like put a podcast on or you can do something and just like turn the work brain off.
Yeah, I like that idea for lunches because, yeah, like I don't want to be cooking like a fat lunch in the middle of the day. And the other thing sometimes, like, which is not good, but I'll be like, oh, I should make dessert. And then it's like, well, I don't need 24 cookies. Like, I don't need that.
Yeah. And I don't know. I totally agree with you though on the cooking. I feel like you have been cooking up a storm.
Yeah, and I think that, yeah, that's just something new that I notice when like you're constantly in like one room of your house. It's like fun to mix it up because we don't have the option to like, you know, look at any other walls or like even like maybe with this little calendar thing I should get like if I sometimes like even going to my parents I like look forward to, you know, if we have it scheduled. So maybe I'll try to be a little bit better about that, but like, you know,
Yeah.
change of scenery. Like today you were talking about human interaction.
I know. I actually left the house, talked to someone who's not in my family or that I know. And it was very refreshing.
Yeah, it's one of those weird things where like I really took for granted like consuming new and different things before all of this because we're just constantly like, I mean, not constantly, but I didn't realize how much new and different I got until it went away.
Totally. And I didn't even know how much I liked interacting with people because I am very much like I'm an introvert that I can be an extrovert when needed, but like I'm very much an introvert. And but yet I love connecting with people, and it can be the team that I work with or it can be, friends and stuff like that. But I realize that I like the random interactions. Like, I do talk to a lot of people on the phone or like setting this up or talking to the contractors and things. Like today I went to the grocery store and talked to 2 old ladies in line, and I was like just filled with so much joy that I had a conversation with someone else. So, quarantine is bringing to light things we just didn't know about ourselves.
Honestly, what a wild time. It's so weird. And like, yeah, I totally agree with you where you're like, you have, well, maybe not all the time, but I do feel like I've had more meaningful random interactions than ever before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's very weird. Even with people who don't even know that I'm interacting with them. Because it's creepy at
I was going
all.
to say, now we know that probably half of the Instagram accounts are really just you operating them behind the scenes.
Well, and thing is too, like the other thing, like with Laura Belgrade talking about her thing, and it's not the same at all, but I'm going to take a leap of like the idea that you want to have this dinner party, right? Like with social media, maybe at one day, like you'll be able to have like built kind of this connection with Dax after like, oh, that girl always comments or something. And then like one day you're like, I'm putting together this dinner party and blah, blah, blah. And like, who knows, maybe he'll come.
And actually that's something that because I'm newer to the social media, but I've had a few people that I follow start to talk about how your interaction with them is important. Like your comments are important because that actually, whatever Instagram's algorithm is, but like a like is fine, but really it's the comments, it's the shares, it's that type of stuff that really gets them kind of noticed and spread farther. And so it's like, if you do really like someone's content, you should comment. And so I've actually been trying to be better. Like there's a few accounts, a couple design accounts that I absolutely love. And so I really do try to like actually give feedback now instead of just being like this silent person behind the screen.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It is weird, isn't it? Because you wouldn't think like anyone was paying attention, I guess. But
well, that's what I was gonna say. I don't give that. Why do they care what I have to say? Or if I'm like, yeah, I like it. Like, I would think they give two shits. But
yeah,
I mean, if it gets me a dinner party with Monica and Dax, I'm in.
dude, we will create some sort of like weird reverse marketing campaign that like brings them into your web. And then we feed them delicious. This sounds really creepy, but like figure out what their favorite meal is. And then we'll like reverse engineer this dinner party, like at a place that they're at or something.
It will only be a little creepy.
But they'll be so excited because it's like, wow, you knew I love clam chowder? How did you?
It's true. It's true. Okay.
Creepy or flattering? I don't know.
I mean, probably a bit of both.
Well, hopefully everybody out there got a little bit of something from this amazing ramble sesh. I swear, one of my favorite podcasts, I don't get it, when they do ramble sessions, they literally call them ramble sessions. It's my favorite. Like when they have on like experts and doctors and people who are like official, I'm like, don't care, fast forward. I just want to hear you guys chit chat, you know?
Yeah. Well, I totally get it. I love it.
So hopefully you guys like this. I'm going to hopefully continue. Maybe I'll just make Allie a co-host forever and you'll just always have to be here with me.
That could be fun. I'll get a better setup so I'm not like in this weird light. I feel like yours is so bright and cheery and I'm like in this dark themed.
No, I kind of love it. It's like you're like East Coast, I'm West Coast.
I love it.
Yeah, we'll
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming. And yeah, we'll probably keep this gravy train moving forward. But until then, I don't have a cool way to sign off, so we're just gonna say goodbye. Thank you for coming. Bye. Oops, wait. Oh shoot, no, that's not right.